I personally am so glad we're having this conversation because honestly, parenting can be a lot. Having to sift through the countless parenting philosophies, I find that to be very overwhelming. I often find myself in these moments of overwhelm returning to Mark chapter 12, where Jesus is confronted by a teacher of the law and is asked of all the laws, what is the most important? Keep in mind, at that time, the Jewish people had over 600 laws they were required to follow. And I love how Jesus answers this in verse 30. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, with all your mind and with all your strength. The second is this, love your neighbor as yourself. Note, he didn't say to love your neighbor instead of yourself, but there's an implied command to care for self in there. What if we were to take Jesus at his word? Not that the hundreds of parenting philosophies aren't so important, but what would it look like for us to pause and allow Jesus' priorities to become ours? To honestly love God, love our neighbor, which in this case is our children, and to love ourselves. What would happen if we allowed ourselves to show up authentically before God, which, let's be honest, is everywhere, in all of our beautiful and messy parts? What would it look like to love God with our heart, a heart that may or may not be triggered by our child's strong emotions, a soul that may be feeling weary and discouraged, a mind that's constantly racing with that never-ending to-do list, or a strength that doesn't always feel very strong? To show up in all of this messy beauty is authentic and loving to God. And what if we were to love our children for who they are in their messy beauty, in their eccentricities, their creativities, their anxieties, their neurodivergences, all of it? This is sharing in that love. One of the hardest parts of parenting is that it's not linear. In every part of the world, 1 + 1 will equal 2. But in parenting, 1 + 1 can equal -53. So be gracious with yourself. Honor God in the way you show up authentically, and when the results of parenting don't look the way you want them to, can we go back to the simple question, the one thing Jesus asks of us, what does love require of me?